let's take a breath. I invite you to take a breath with me. I allow the breath to remind me that there is that which pours itself into body and mind and heart and soul, that I am accompanied with every breath, every beat of my heart, that it withholds nothing of itself as it pours itself into me, infinite possibility, truly. And so we tonight find ourselves in the presence of that, infinite possibility, infinite love, infinite good. And so it is from that place that I speak a word of gratitude and of blessing, grateful for the opportunity to come together with the village and have a conversation, to just spend some time and chat in this most interesting time we find ourselves in. And a word of blessing, blessing each person that has taken the time to come together this evening, knowing that we all have our own motivations and our own wants and needs. And something is here for each of us. What that is, I don't know, but it will meet you. And we leave somehow different than we came. So I just give thanks for an opportunity to have a good conversation with good people who I feel safe with, who we can have these kinds of conversations with. It changes us. It allows us to navigate with more grace than perhaps ever before. So for all of that and more, I give thanks, I rest in that gratitude, I release the word and I let it be. And so it is. Amen. Goodness. I like this sweater. All right, let's see. I wanted to talk tonight about a note that I got a week or so ago. And the note says this: we were just talking about how many American people are feeling that we're headed to a dark place if we don't do something. We both were mentioning the contrast between all is well, the all is well attitude, and the seeming appearance that the world is struggling and suffering in a big way. What is the something we can do? How do we hold both ideas in our minds and take actions? We thought it would be something that others would think of as well and could benefit from a discussion. What do you think? What I like about the note is that I think it really is a common experience for lots of us. In fact, there was a term, a note that I saw early on. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, the term is apocalyptimist. Someone who knows it's all going to hell, but still thinks things will turn out okay. Apocalyptimist. I like that, and not everyone does. I kind of crashed into someone and said, they said to me, how can you find anything good about what's going on in the world? And I said to them, that's where my faith comes in. When I can't see it, I get to know it. I get to know the presence of God, and the nature of God is at work, even when things appear to be challenging, as they do now. And so the question then of what do we do, for me, what I've noticed that I'm doing more and more lately is being very diligent about nourishment, physical nourishment, energetic nourishment, emotional nourishment, spiritual nourishment. I think that and I don't like to speak in generalizations normally, but I think that we in general are expending a tremendous amount of energy reconsidering all that's ours to consider all that's before us this year. And so it becomes incumbent upon us then to make sure that we're nourished enough to take that on a daily basis. What do we do? How do we influence our world in the process? It came real fast to me after I got that note, and the what to do was for me again. I just in the last day or two, I've got something on the calendar. I need to go sit in the trees occasionally, sometimes more than occasionally. Actually, this summer I intended on doing it a lot more than I have, but what I am doing it is at least the minimum. At least the minimum needs to be done. I know that for myself. The other piece of the equation for me is in response to the question of how do we meet a world, how does an individual meet a world in the situation that we find our world. And what came to my mind was that piece, and I don't remember who wrote it, that said we're not going to heal the whole world. Our responsibility is to reach out to the part of the world that we can touch, and leave it better than we found it, essentially leave it better than we found it. And I realized today that if I can leave the world better than I found it on a daily basis, there's a lot to be said for that. And so I was thinking today about my my little simple. This is where simplicity comes in handy for me, because sometimes all I can handle is something simple, you know. My 3-part daily practice: find something beautiful to behold. What that does is it puts me in a state of mind that I am seeking beauty in the world. So it shifts my consciousness from seeking, I talked about this a little bit Sunday morning, from seeking what's wrong to what's right and good and beautiful. It's an excellent practice for that. Find something to be grateful for essentially accomplishes the same thing. When I am overwhelmed with what appears to be wrong, I get to shift my attention. And the more I think about and focus on what I'm grateful for, miraculously, the more I find to be grateful for. The third piece of this practice: extend a kindness. And that there, as Rumi reminds us, and as I remind us via Rumi, there's 1,000 ways to kneel and kiss the ground. Anything that we do that contributes good to the day and to the world, and it may be to a person, it may be picking up a piece of trash, it may be, you know, petting a cat. How do we contribute good in a world like we are experiencing today? And the answer would seem to be however we can. I need to navigate this with bite-sized pieces. It helps me. Today, what do I want? Today, I want to leave the day better than I found it. I want to experience something beautiful. I want to be grateful. I want to remember that God is all there is, period, without exception. And that includes everybody and everything. And perhaps I could add to that today, to that list, just for my own good, because it'll do me good to do it. Make a list of the people that challenge me and pray for them today. If we can do these little practices, I think that those little practices add up, and that ultimately they will be a part of this global shift that I believe that we are in the midst of. What I'm interested to hear from you tonight is how you're taking care of yourself, how this idea of allness and oneness and inclusivity, How are you doing with the stuff that challenges you the most? I'll give you an example. When I am having a hard time this week as it relates to anything really, whether it's, health stuff or global stuff or work stuff or whatever, money stuff, whatever the stuff is, I've been stopping with our theme and reminding myself, okay, this circumstance is God doing its thing. This person is God doing its thing. Can I bless them as part of my own spiritual practice to leave the day better than I found it? Can I get past my own feelings? Not get past them, but include them. See, this is the inclusive part. Because I'll feel bad and then I'll feel bad about feeling bad. You know what I mean? And that's not helpful. What if I were able to feel bad and be as kind and gentle and understanding with myself as I am with other people, and you the same? This time is an opportunity for us to learn how to live our lives in a better way, both internally and with each other. Can we start to make some different choices? Can we allow the priorities and values to shift and realign themselves so that as we begin to reemerge from this season of shelter in place, we do so more in alignment with the world that we would like to see. But we can't wait for them to do any piece of this. This is something that each of us individually will contribute to and will either create or not create. So that's what I've been thinking about. And I'm interested in what you're thinking about. So let's open it up. How are you taking care of yourself? How are you maintaining balance? How are you doing with the allness of the uncomfortable feelings, the sad feelings, the mourning, the, whatever it is that we're experiencing? How are you navigating those things? And how are you doing it differently than you might have done it from this point backwards? That's what I'm interested in. So whoever would like to start our conversation this evening.
If you know how to raise your hand on the participant list, do that, and then it's easy for us to call on you. If you don't, unmute yourself and start talking.
Whoever would like to begin us may do so. Begin us. That's not a proper term, but it'll work.
Well, all I can say is the golf courses are open, and that's keeping me sane.
See, it's the coping mechanisms. What can we do? What do we do? And that's one of them. Good for you, Larry.
So Judith raised her hand. Judith.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. Okay.
Hi, Judith.
Hi. I don't know how to make myself visible right now. Oh, there we go.
All right, we can hear you.
Okay. So I feel like this is a wonderful gift. I live about 5 or 6 blocks from the Dubose Dog Park. And I don't have any animals right now. But I get, as part of me taking care of me, I can walk up there and I use a little walker and I sit on it so I don't have to touch anything except I can touch the dogs. And they come up. They all think you have a treat if you're sitting there, so, and they're disappointed with me, but they come anyway. And they jump up and they say hello, and some of them are puppies. Anyway, that is a great gift. That is like a connection. When I can't hug people, I can hug a couple of dogs. and get them to, they come and stand on my feet or something. But I lost track for a few weeks, and now I came alive again. So
Bless you.
I am grateful every day. I am grateful for that. And I found and thought of an interesting thing today, which is that I have several people that I call to support them. And then I realized that with my brother, who is in his close to 91, and he's fading somewhere. And I love talking to him. He's one of my favorite people in the whole world to talk to. And but I'm thinking he gets very tired. And actually a gift at this point would be not to speak to my own need, which is to talk to him as often as I can, but instead to know, be present to where he's at, and maybe just, let him be for a couple of days, which was something that would never occur to me. I want to support somebody, I got to call him, but maybe not.
Mindfulness.
I'm
Bless
done.
you. Bless you, Judith. And bless your mother.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, who else?
It's got
I
it.
thought we'd be chatting a lot about how we're doing with this. Interesting.
There's Dorothy. Go ahead, Dorothy.
Dorothy Mendez,
The very same.
It's Dorothy Mendez, one of your favorite people.
the one and only.
Loving you all always.
Bless you, Dr. Mendez.
One of the things that I'm doing is I'm spending a lot of time with Paul Pasuti. And, the other day we had this big orgy in the bathroom.
Excuse
Mary
me.
Fran and Constance happened to be there.
Is somebody recording this?
It was just amazing. He kept saying, push Dorothy, up Dorothy. And, we just had a wonderful time with Constance and Reverend Fran and Joyce Lamar standing there with us as we go through our little orgy thing. So we're spending a lot of time together, but we're refreshing and renewing.
It sounds like.
Everything. Because Paul has changed. He's not the same.
Apparently. All of this is news to me.
News to me as well, but keep going, Dorothy.
But I just want to say it has been my pleasure
Apparently.
to spend this time at the center and watching transformation taking place. Transformation is taking place all over the world, and we know that. But in our community, when we come back together again, we will not be the same. We will be better than ever before.
Yeah.
And I think each and every one of you on the call walk through those doors in awe. And when you see Paul Pasuti, you give him a virtual hug. Don't hug him, but a virtual hug, and thank him for everything that he's doing, because he's a really special person. Okay?
Okay.
All right. That's all I want to say. And I just want to say I'm glad to be here because it was the Rev talking today. Usually I'm someplace else, but I wanted to be here today just to support the Rev.
Thank you.
Bless you, Dorothy Mendez. You're in for
You go, girl.
So Joan EM, who I think has not been here before, so I would suggest.
Oh, I apologize, Joan. Oh,
You
Joan.
better apologize to all the new people.
Hey, Joan. Joan used
Wait,
to
wait,
sing
wait,
in
wait,
the
wait.
choir with me. So I know Joan. She used to sing in the Clarewood Singers. She's
We're
not.
old friends. I can't top you though. That's a pretty good one.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
who's gonna share after that?
No,
I am.
Try.
Point of order
Okay.
for
We
the
better get
clarification
some
and
order
the
in this
thank
thing,
you
Polly.
we got
for the.
people. What happened? Jones got the floor.
No, she don't. Not yet.
I'm
One
patient.
second, Joan.
Joan.
Forgive me. I gotta clarify what Dorothy was talking about. We were removing the heavy fire door off the hinges of the unisex bathroom, and it weighs about 75 pounds, so that we could cut the bottom off so it wouldn't drag on our new wood floors. And then we had to haul it out to the courtyard and then take a 1/4 of an inch off the bottom of it with my skill saw. Then we had to haul it back in, and she had to push it up and hold it in place so I could put the hinges in with screws. Well, Reverend Fran and and Constance were coming through on business, and they heard us screwing around in the bathroom. And I kept saying, Dorothy, push it a little bit more. Oh, that's good. That's perfect. Don't move. And then I would be able to put the screw in the hinge. I'm telling you, that's what was going on. Okay. Just for clarity.
Real life, man. I'm telling you, real life. We couldn't think this stuff up, could we?
Exactly. So, Joan, thank you for allowing me to restore my
Joan,
whatever that is in
allow me to
clarity.
apologize
But-
on behalf of the village and
Yes, exactly. I did.
anyone else.
Dorothy's ruining me. Okay, and I appreciate it very much. Okay, Joan, it's yours.
Poor
Oh
Joan.
my
Hi, Joan.
gosh, I'm going to be so boring after that. I started just thinking a few minutes ago that basically I have never worked since I was about 15. And so it was adjustment because I'm not working right now. I'm isolating from work. And it's been wonderful. I mean, there was a week or so where it was a little anxiety producing, but then I got really used to it. And it's just been so nice not having a schedule, not having time pressures. I've been gardening when I want, and I can stop in the middle of gardening and do some cooking. And I finished a painting for my daughter that I started over a year ago. So it's just been like a sneak peek on retirement, but adding to it, connecting more with people and making plans to do like social distancing hiking with friends. A lot more than ever, which is wonderful, being outside in nature and moving, and doing all kinds of cooking, which I love because I've got time to do those things. And sometimes I feel kind of guilty, like I should be doing more. And then I tell myself, well, I mean, I've been a nurse for over 30 years. Hello. I feel like I've, pat myself on the back. I've been doing a lot for people. So it's kind of shifting from doing and working and going to relaxing, taking care of myself, self-acknowledgement, and doing those things that I really love to do and am passionate about. And making that part of my routine, and allowing myself to feel the stress or anxiety or whatever, and just going through that, and then I can let that go. Yeah, so not shitting on myself, and sharing more deeply in a lot of ways. And just, relaxing and appreciating and enjoying. A lot of it is pretty darn simple, like you're saying, Jeff.
Yeah.
It's a
That's
simple
indeed.
little, yeah.
Thanks,
Joys
Joan.
of- joys of life.
You touched on a couple of things that I've heard is also being considered, and that is our pace, the pace at which we live our lives. And
Yeah.
I think you're probably not the only one that's reconsidering what has historically been, and then all of a sudden it stops and the planet continues to spin, and we find out maybe there are other possibilities.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
Elena has her hand raised.
Elena.
Elena, you have to unmute yourself, Elena.
I'm working on it there.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm with Joan. I was going to share, and then Dorothy went, and like I feel like I had nothing.
Right.
So a few things I found have been helpful. One is, to deal with the isolation, just being a little more deliberate about reaching out to friends, and which has actually been a good thing for me because I tend not to do that as much as I probably ought to. One of the things I found really helpful to help with that sort of Groundhog Day feeling is having, even though we can't plan for, the near future because there's so much uncertainty, having a project or projects that started before and are ending after, because it feels like it kind of grounds you in time and space. The main thing that's really helping with the difficult stuff is I remember in prac class, maybe about a year and a half ago, sort of realizing I needed to think about this stuff in a different way, like really ask myself, if we're learning all these principles and everything, are these just nice ideas or are they really real, and am I acting like they're actually real? And one of the things that occurred to me lately, I know we did a quote on this lately, but I can't bring it up, but the idea that it's when times are difficult that you need to have faith. It's not in the other times.
Right.
So digging a little deeper in meditation or in doing the spiritual mind treatments and getting to that place you're talking about, that feeling of, oh yeah, it is all one and it's all there. And it just takes a little more grounding yourself in that when the times are hard. So it feels like a good, one of those learning opportunities.
Yeah. I was talking before we got started about a conversation that I'm having with a colleague, and it's easy, and Judith, you alluded to falling into the places that we fall into, and I understand that it's easy to become a fatalist, but holy moly, that's not the way that I want to live my life. And it's not actually what I believe is what we're in the midst of right now. And that doesn't take away from the hardness of it. And it doesn't take away from the enormity of it and the heartbreak of it and the loss of it. It doesn't take any of that away. It just, for me, the faith part is knowing that something is going on that's moving us in the direction of life, of good, because that's ultimately the way life always moves. So it must be doing the same here, even as we're walking through the hard stuff. But as you say, I mean, this is where it gets interesting, because physics we can measure. Metaphysics, we're talking about the unformed. We're talking about non-physical. How confident are we? And it's, you asked the question, are these just nice ideas, or are they something that we can actually apply in our lives? And now is the time to find out. Absolutely. Yeah. And if anybody needs some help doing that, we've got people that are ready and willing to sit with you and to have conversations with you to help you move in that direction.
I tend to be one of those apocalyptimists. Sounds like a rare bird or something, but I always think about how when change happens, even for the good, it looks really, really messy and awful. And this looks pretty messy and awful. So.
Yeah, it does.
So So Alice has been waiting to share,
Thank you.
and because she can't raise her
Me too.
hand because she's a co-host.
Ah.
Sorry about that, Alice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm doing a couple of things. So the first thing that happened is someone asked me if I would be their prayer partner. So I said yes. And then another friend asked me if I would be their prayer partner, and I said yes.
Good
And then I
girl.
took the class, The Power of Your Word, and then I got assigned another prayer partner.
Wow.
So two of the prayer partners, we're praying for each other and we're doing affirmations. And then the other spiritual mind treatments, and it's fabulous. So the other thing that I'm doing that's really wonderful is when I go out to walk, I take my cell phone with me and I take pictures, I take photographs, and I send them to my prayer partners.
Lovely.
And so that has turned out to be one of the saving graces in my life during this COVID. The other thing that I'm doing is I started to play my guitar again. I had put it down for a while. And then another friend of mine, we both bought keyboards. And so we're learning how to do that. She hasn't gotten hers yet, but she'll get it soon. And the other thing I wanted to share is one of the skills that I had to learn as a therapist that comes in really handy right now. It took me about 10 years to get comfortable with sitting in the unknown. And that's what's being asked of us to do right now.
Yeah.
Sometimes there are times when the best thing to do is nothing. But the skill is knowing when to act and when not to act. And so that I found that really helpful. And then the other thing is, this is an impersonal issue. The coronavirus is not taking it out on us. It's impersonal. So when I start to get to this place where I start taking everything personally, I try to remind myself this is not personal. You got to just hang in. And sometimes that's easier than others, but that's somehow I'm trying to cope anyway.
Yeah. And it's, and it's one thing, when this started and it was happening to other people, and then as time has gone by, the reach, seems to have gotten closer to many folks. And so our relationship with it changes. It gets real in a different way. And so, yeah, then what do we do? How do we do it? Certainly prayer. It's working good for you. That keeps us, the spiritual practice, whatever the practice is, now is a really good time to reinforce it. Perhaps do a little bit more. Thanks, Alice.
So Robert has his hand raised. So Robert, you can unmute yourself.
Robert Leeds?
Yeah.
Hi, Robert.
Hello there.
Hello there.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about everything Alice said. So a couple of things. The past few weeks there's been a fair amount of stress. Part of that is work. I work in unemployment insurance, so you can imagine how insane that is. And, and just the usual stuff that everyone else is feeling about, being concerned about the health of loved ones, or just feeling bored and restless and ready for this to be done, wanting to see people, that kind of thing. But the two things that I've kind of been coming back to is one is being a larger container. It's like when I see myself feeling stressed or frustrated at the circumstance, I try to have create a larger perspective for myself. It's like there's that old teaching story about how, you take a teaspoon of salt and you put it in a glass of water and you drink it, it's going to taste terrible. But if you put it in as much water as a lake, then you can't even distinguish it. So trying to be a larger container, trying to have more kind of internal spaciousness has helped at times. The other thing is just kind of shifting my perspective. Like yesterday a bird pooped on my head. I mean, when was the last time that happened to you?
Right.
So I was waiting in line to get into a bank, and I hear this plop and feel something, and then, it was gross. But I also remember somebody saying that it's good luck when a bird poops on you. So I just decided that it was good luck. And it just helped to shift my attitude. And it just reminded me that how much control, how much choice I have over how I view things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm moving along, like everybody else, having, good days and bad days. But, those are a couple of things that I try to recall when I'm feeling like the optimist part of the apocalyptimist isn't there.
Yeah. 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 So you're experiencing the swing of the pendulum like many other folks?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Yeah. That's big. All right. Thank you, my friend. Who else?
Well, I'll share if no one else is going to share right now. I've had a lot of ups and downs the last 2 or 3 weeks, and some of it I realized was stress, and that so I had to really confront that in myself and say, okay, what could I do to reduce this? And then one of the things I really, really enjoy is reading fiction. I like to write fiction. I like to read fiction. And so I've read some really, really interesting books. But the last one I read was I'm going to get tongue-tied here, apocalyptic novel about a time when the world was falling apart. And afterwards, I thought, this is probably not a good book to be reading right now. And I thought, you know what? I need to be reading some more spiritual things. And why am I not doing that? And then I sat down and I realized that all my spiritual books were on the other side of the room behind a chair. And it just occurred to me that was a very easy fix. All I had to do was change where the books were. So now they're sitting right next to me. So now I'm reading something better when I get around to it. But sometimes it's little simple things like that make a big difference. So, yeah, so that's what I wanted to share.
Yeah, blessed be. Thanks, Constance. And then there are the times, I think, I know I find myself thinking, well, I should be reading something spiritual. And frankly, there are times more lately when my brain just needs to rest. I found a guy on Netflix, Magic for Humans. And they're just little 20-minute, simple, super simple little things that remind me of the good in people. And so that's one of the little, the little tools that I'll use to nourish me. But, if it's a junk novel, I figure at this point, all's fair. Whatever nourishes us, we get to pay attention to that and maybe indulge ourselves a little bit, because we need all the wellness that we can muster to navigate, what we're currently navigating. So good for you for reading both, Constance. I think it's a both and kind of scenario.
Yeah, and I want to share one other thing too. Yesterday was a particularly hard day, and at one point I was really, really struggling with. It was like I was, it was like I was just totally. I didn't know. I was bored. I didn't want to go on. I didn't want to work. I didn't want to do anything. And there was part of me that wanted to just say, okay, I'll quit this job because I know no one else can do it right now, and then we'll see what happens, you know. So, um, and I had to sit there until I could just sort of. It's almost like I have to reach inside and pull myself up, and then I started doing something creative, and then that shifted for me. You know, for me, it's about doing something creative. That helps me.
Mhm.
And I don't know, and it and sometimes it's hard to get there
Mhm.
because I don't even have the will to be creative sometimes.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, that I think a lot of what I'm seeing is creative energy that we may have burned off historically in our lives. You know, with the busyness of things, it just kind of got co-opted. You know, and now maybe less so. And I think it's inviting us to be maybe more creative, to reconsider, you know, that creativity that's within us, and see what it wants to do. And I know that I have to have a certain level of wellness, a certain level of vitality, to even be interested. Otherwise, it's going to have to wait until my wellness level comes up. I got to do that first, as we have discussed at length. Keeping
So,
each other well. How are we keeping each other well and ourselves well?
so
Very.
Sam has his hand raised.
Yeah. Hello, Sam.
Hi, Jeff, Constance, thank you. I don't know if you have seen the movie, the Earthing movie. It tells us, or it reminds me about the benefits of walking barefoot on ground and just imbibing the electromagnetic ions from the earth and how that could produce some healing to the body. So I try to put that practice at least a few times in a week, just putting my barefoot on grass or ground and just being aware and conscious about the benefits of connecting the earth to my body. So
Yeah.
that's one practice I do. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Sam. I think a lot of this is about connection and disconnection. And I know I've spoken to it a lot, but I think you're right. Yeah. Connection to self, connection to other, connection to the planet, and connection to God. Whatever we can do to contribute to any of those four areas, I think will serve us very well. Good reminder. Thank you, Sam. We've got a little bit of time for another one or two folks.
This is Sally. I'll share.
Hello, Sally.
My husband's outside. Sally, what are you doing? He's listening in. Anyway,
Hi, Dave.
Dave and I took an RV road trip. It's something that we did early on in our relationship, and it's one of those things that we think of as the way that we solidified our relationship was in our RV road trip. And so we did it recently. We went for 10 days. It was lovely to be together, to be out in nature and just watching the river otters, watching the birds, paying attention to the beauty and the wonder and the mystery of life. And so that's one of the ways that we are working with this, and being grateful for all of that beauty, all of that joy that we get to see. And we can watch people from afar, you know, having their time out there in the parks and whatever, and we can still be part of it. And the other thing for me beyond that is my creativity. I look over to the side here and I've got a project, you know, in midst of being created, and I love working with my hands like that, and to spend time being able to do that is marvelous. So that's some of the ways that I connect with myself and with Dave and with Spirit.
Yeah. Hallelujah. That's exactly the kind of stuff I'm talking about. And whether it's a road trip or a walk around the block or, we find something, I'm having to find closer things this year to nourish me. And so we do what we got to do. Yeah, I'm always envious when I hear you guys taking off, because that's one of the things, just having the air.
We'll kidnap you one of these times and take you with us.
Yeah, don't tempt me. You and me and Dave and the RV.
And Jackson, don't forget the dog.
Oh, right. There we go. Bless you.
Okay,
Thank you, my friend.
Donna has her hand raised.
We got time for one more. Is that gonna be you, Donna?
Hi there.
Hi.
I wanted to also add to what Sam was mentioning. I was going to suggest grounding, earthing, which is so important for us. But energy. So as someone who practices energy healing with other people, I do it also on myself, and I receive energy healing sessions from other practitioners. And it has been probably the most significant resource and tool and technique that I have been able to use to raise my vibration. And I do a lot. I'm also very affected by sound healing as well. But I wanted to as I've been sitting here listening, my hands are automatically doing movements and mudras.
Right.
And that actually started in January, where I've been doing them spontaneously. And I wanted to give that as a resource. Donna Eden, who healed herself from multiple sclerosis and allergies and all kinds of things, has a 5-minute daily energy routine, which I will put a link to that on the chat thing. You can do that for 5 minutes every day, and it will help to shift our energy. And if we do it consistently, it actually will strengthen our immune system, balance our hormones, have our feel-good hormones become more activated. And I know, personally, that the energy healing work is life-saving. So that's something that I would like to suggest as a resource for people.
Blessed be. Another method. And as you're talking, I'm thinking there truly are 1,000 ways to kneel and kiss the ground, and we each get to experiment and try different things. And now's a great time for that too. Try something different, maybe. And yeah, we never know what we're going to find. Blessed be. Thanks for the tip. Energy healing. All right, let's see, 7:53. We got time for a quick one person, or we can close it up for the evening. Does anyone have anybody been sitting there thinking, I really need to talk about this, but not yet? Yeah.
There isn't anyone with a hand raised or unmuted, so.
Okay, blessed be. Really, thank you for everything too. Truly, you're a good man. All right, so we will take a breath and we'll close with prayer. Grateful for the breath to breathe this day. Grateful for the ability to come together in community and have these conversations. Grateful to be seen and to be heard and to witness each other. Grateful for an opportunity to love in all the ways that shows up. And so that then feels like a really good prayer. I am a place where love shows up in the world in 1,000 different ways. To be given and to be received, that is for each of us to do. And as we do that in our days, we leave the day, we leave the world better than we found it. And you can't ask for much more than that. So grateful for all that is yet to be, this opportunity, this community. I rest in that gratitude, knowing all is in fact well. I let it be. And so it is.
So it is.
Amen.
And so it is.
Blessed be. Thank you, everyone.
We'll take a few minutes here if you all want to turn on your cameras and say hello to one another. Nikki, I want to make sure you got in okay the second time around.
Bob.
And Bob.
Hey.
Hey, good to see you, buddy. And the Petersons up there. Thank you, Joan, for letting me cut in on you.
Hi, Bob.